Over the weekend, this week, the big story, a huge story, it has to be said, for the New Zealand agricultural industry, was the sale or the huge number. I think they were surprised by, in actual fact, the large number of dairy farmers, 88% who cast a vote at a special meeting this week, backing the estimated $4.2 billion sale of Fonterra's dairy major brands to the French dairy giant Lactalis. I watched last night the views of Winston Peters, but also the return views of Fonterra. But I also listened, interestingly, to a farmer who basically said at the end of the day, or a dairy farmer, listen, mate, somebody's giving you $392,000 on average. You don't look a gift horse in the mouth. And in response, Winston Peters said, well, you've just sold yourself out and your industry. Trying to get some sort of handle on this, and in particular, what this is going to mean for everywhere in this country where there are dairy farms and the dairy industry. And I'm thinking, what's that? Southland, not so much Otago, North Otago, Canterbury, Taranaki, Waikato. They'd be the big ones, wouldn't they? Manawatu. Is David Bailey, who is a rural accountant, all in the midst right of the Waikato, in actual fact, Otrahonga, where he's based at the moment. And we're going to talk to him about the impact of this Fonterra sale on farming. And he joins us now. David, thank you so much for joining us. Lovely to have you on board.
Good morning, Michael. And I have Matthew Finston with me, who's also a chartered accountant with us and also a dairy farmer himself at the age of 24 or 25. So he's on both sides of the...
Sorry, could you give me his name again, please? I didn't quite catch that.
Matthew Finston.
Right. I didn't quite catch that either, but there you go.
It's
Mr. Finston, is that right?
Matthew, yes. Matthew.
Matthew. It's Matthew Finston. Yeah. Thank you. Matthews. Welcome along, Matthew. Nice to have you on board too. Okay, big story, first of all, is 88% of the vote on something that Winston Peters cast about it. Your reaction to Winston Peters' criticism, first of all, does he have a case? It was dismissed last night, I think, by the chairman of Fonterra, who said that it's all fantasy world, but that's not an answer to a criticism. Is there any legitimacy to what Winston Peters is saying?
Well, these are very long established brands that have been with us up to 100 years, and they are very well recognised overseas, and they formed a very important part of New Zealand agriculture. So there is some merit in what they're saying, but in this case here, 80% of the farmers and owners voted, and 88% voted to sell the business and get a return on capital. Now, for some, it's a matter of supporting the directors and the work they've done, and they have done some good work over the last couple of years, but it is the sale of something, and we've had Alliance the week before. So New Zealand farmers are selling off some of their things that built up over many years. But we've got to have confidence in our directors on what they've put in front of us, what they've been able to achieve, and move on from there.
Matthew, were you one of the 88% that voted, were you?
Yes, I was.
And what were your reasons?
Well, if you don't vote, then your opinion's not included. So I read all the articles and everything that was sent out to us, and I believe the directors, we put them in the position to, it's their job to figure this stuff out and find out which way is the best way forward for Fonterra. So I had confidence in them that it was the right thing to do.
That seems a bit slavish, if you don't mind me saying. In other words, well, they said it, so I'll do it. Did you not think for yourself before you made your vote?
I did read what was handed out to us as well, and I agreed with the reasons behind it.
Okay. And so you stand what, as an estimated farmer shareholders will get an average tax-free payout of about $392,000. Is that roughly what you'll get too, Matthew?
That's in line with it, yes.
Okay.
With your brother.
And so last night, the chap I saw on television, New Zealand News was saying, yeah, it sounds a lot of money, and it is, don't get me wrong, but he said, I'll probably be paying a lot of that to the bank. Is that where you're coming from as well?
Yeah, you'd see a lot of it will be going to the bank and the tax man. I mean, we've had a good year last year, and this season looks quite well too. So, I mean, a lot of it's going to go to there, in my point of view. But everyone's got their own circumstance and it matters in front of them.
Okay. When you talk about to the tax man, I thought this was tax free.
Yeah, but we've got our tax from the 25 year. I mean, the milk price went up from 7.83 in 24 to $10.16. So, I mean, there's an extra sort of $2.50 that everyone's got. But a lot of it will be profit to most farmers.
Okay, so I assume there aren't an awful lot of dairy farmers who are debt free. I think the chap I saw last night said, well, we know that inevitably there'll be bad times in the future. The price will fall. That's the nature of the commodity market. This is a bit of an insulation by paying off debt now so that we can take on some extra in the future as well. Gentlemen, does that sound a reasonable argument?
Yeah, very reasonable.
Michael, for a lot of these farmers, they're getting back some of the capital they put into this business. When Fonterra was floated, the shares were valued at $4.52. They went up to $7 and $7.50, and some of the farmers bought those shares at those levels, and then they saw it go down to $2.50. So for some, it's just getting capital back. Following the payment, we expect the shares to come back to nearer $3 to $3.50. So it is a return of capital. Also for Fonterra,
Yeah, carry on. Sorry.
Fonterra, it's a way of them keeping supply to reduce the cost of what farmers have to pay to supply them. They've already reduced the requirement to 1/3 of your production per share, but there's a lot of competition for Fonterra from open country and OFI for supply, particularly in the Waikato and certain areas in South Island. So Fonterra are conscious they need to keep their supply, and this reduces the cost of capital that farmers still have to put in as well. One consideration.
So the criticism of Winston Peters and others that I've read on this is that Lactalis will use the brand and don't have to exclusively use New Zealand milk products essentially to create them. So they could get them from France or anywhere else in Europe as well. And that means therefore that they won't necessarily need New Zealand milk to make those brands work into the future. What's your argument to that?
Well, I understand there's a 10-year supply agreement, but that 10-year supply agreement in future, after that, could work both ways. If they don't take our milk, we may use it for things that interfere with their markets. So I don't need to know the detail of that agreement, but I understand that initially it is a 10-year supply agreement.
So Matthew, can I just ask you on that one too? Is it your understanding as a dairy farmer that if there was to be some sort of breach of that supply arrangement in the future, you and your other farmer cooperative folk can go off and create your own brands anew?
That's a little bit above me, sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, what about you, David? Is that your understanding?
I don't know the detail after 10 years, but I think we're stuck with each other for 10 years in the meantime. Now, coming back to the impact of this on rural economies, I'm dairy farming myself, supplying Fonterra, and we're actually in a group with 2 families, and we're seeing the money will go in lots of places. Some of it will go on house improvements on the farm, both for the owner. Some will go into house improvements for farm workers, and that's an ongoing cost to upgrade employees' houses because they all expect better standards these days, both healthy homes and a lot more facilities. And then there will be improvements on the farm, which will be in the form of cow shed improvements, machinery, technology like halter, and maybe feed pads. So there will be some capital expenditure on the farm. And then there will be money that goes off the farm. Succession, holiday homes, helping children with deposits to buy houses. There's a long list of things that we've already encountered that people have come to see us about, buying businesses for family members. So the money's going to get spread all over New Zealand, including debt reduction and
Yeah,
on
so I
farming.
mean, essentially that's the trickle-down theory, isn't it? That if you start spending money, then other people in your neck of the woods, Oklahoma, or Te Awamutu, wherever, are going to go in and derive a benefit. So this, can I just ask on that one too? Most farmers, or Fonterra farmers in particular, where are they? Are they in Waikato? Are they in Taranaki? You would have heard the provinces I read out at the start introducing this particular issue, but where are the majority of them? Can you tell me?